Good morning and welcome back to Planner Craft. I'm going to be taking you through some tips and techniques when we're making boxes to get more professional finish. So for today I'm going to be working with a 12x12 mat. So I'm going to start a new document and I'm working in Affinity Designer. If you want to work straight into Canvas you can do, you might just find it a little bit more fiddly to do certain things. Okay, I'm going to go for a 12x12 mat, which is a 295.9 millimeters by 297.9. Okay, and my DPI is 96.
You have Sarah and Zena.
Okay.
Can I say good morning to them?
Morning.
Thank you, Mum.
Hi, Mum. So that 96 is important if you're going to be working in Canvas Workspace online. So basically, when we first got Affinity, we did a lot of work with Serif in terms of getting it to actually come through to the right size on Canvas Online, because at the time, desktop wasn't available for the Mac. So the reason we set it to 96 is that it works correctly with online. However, when you then bring that into desktop, it totally ignores it. So if you know what you're going to be working in, you can always just set it to whatever.
Say morning to Carol. Carol and Hayley.
Hi Carol, hi Hayley. Okay, so I'm not going to put any margins on this one because I want to use the full active area. I don't need bleeds because I'm not going to be printing a full sheet. So I can go create. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. Now I'm going to start off with a really simple but really effective box. Okay, and it's going to look so much more complicated than you think it is. So I'm going to start off with the triangle tool. Okay, so to get to that, just press and hold your bottom shape tool and just go to triangle if you don't already have it selected. Don't forget, Ian is on the comments at any point if you want to ask a question. There is a slight delay between what I'm saying and what Ian gets to read. So just bear with. So I'm just going to draw in a triangle. I'm not going to dictate what size it is to you. It doesn't matter how big or how small you make it, just as long as you can fit 4 3/4 of one across your mat or across your piece of card. Okay?
And Tracy says, hi Natalie, sorry I accidentally started a watch party when I was trying to share.
That's okay. If you do it by accident, that's fine. It's just a bit... it's just a bit annoying because we can't see the comments.
And the watch parties,
Yeah. Yeah, so when we come out of here and it's like, oh, there's a question there and trying to work out what it relates to, yeah. It's a nightmare. So hopefully you've drawn one triangle at this point. And we're going to need 4 of them. Okay? And you want them to touch tip to tip. Just going to zoom back out so you can see just how big my box is, or not how big my box is. And if yours looks more like that, that's fine. And if it looks like that, it's just going to be a very tiny box, but it would still be a box. Okay. So the actual proportions of your triangle really don't matter. So once you have your 4 triangles, just give me a thumbs up. No? Okay. I'll wait.
I don't think there's any questions. So.
I just wanted a thumbs up just to know that I wasn't going to lose people, that's all. Oh, excuse me if I sneeze in a minute. They've been doing the lawns again. Okay, so I'm going to group my 4 triangles. I'm going to duplicate the group. Press and hold shift and grab the little handle at the top so that we can rotate it round to 180 degrees. We're going to drag it so that it snaps. So you'll see it goes from little jaws to being totally solid. Okay. And I'm just going to highlight those and just put a stroke on it.
But waiting for Silhouette to open, and Zena's just watching and making notes.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these triangles, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to shrink up my group, I'm going to click off it, I'm going to paste, which will give me a copy that isn't in a group. I'm going to drag it along to this point, okay? And the reason I do that is we need this angle here and some of this angle here to do our glue tab, okay? We're going to go to layer, we're going to convert to curves. This is so that when we go to our node tool we get our little nodes. We're going to do a click, roughly sort of there, just a single click and you'll get a new point. We're going to come along here and you want to go roughly the same distance again and we're going to click. We're going to highlight this point down here and we're going to delete it. Okay, this is where it's going to get a little bit more complicated. Okay, we're going to zoom right into the top of our glue tab. And this is where the pro tips start to come in. We're going to put an extra node right up close into this section here. Okay, we're going to shift and click the next node. So now we have 2 nodes that are selected together. We're going to drag them in carefully, but you want to try and keep that glue tab perpendicular to the line of that last triangle. As much as possible, okay? The reason we do that is so that we get a nice crisp point in here. Okay? We're going to go down the other end, don't press shift, and I'm just going to click down here. Just so that we know that our top 2 points are no longer selected, because we don't want to mess those up now that we've done that so carefully. We're going to come into this point here and along a little and click. We're going to press and hold shift. We're going to hold and click our next node. We're going to move it up. And again, you want to keep your glue tab perpendicular to your previous line. Okay. So we have a nice point there. And what that means is when we come to do our glue tab, your kind of card will nest into that glue tab rather than being forced away from it. Just gives you that nice neat finish. Okay. My next tip is with this one down here, because it's a obtuse angle, you can actually just drag it in just a little. Okay. With this one up here, I won't change it. It's just easier for getting a reference point. So now we have our little tube. So if we were to cut this out at the moment, you could end up with a load of triangles for starters. But even if we change all these to score lines, what you've got is the tube. I don't want to turn it into a tube just yet though, because I want to have the reference points for doing the lid and the base of my box. So is everybody okay so far? Can you give me a thumbs up?
You've had a wow so far.
The wow is when the box is done. It's definitely a wow box, isn't it, this one?
Which one is it?
It's the twisty one. So hopefully everybody's okay. So basically this tab here will always go to the back of your box. So this one over here is going to become the back. And therefore that's going to be the back. Which makes this one the front. To make life a little bit easier, I'm going to go into that top group. I'm going to find my front triangle. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to close my group and click off it. And I'm going to paste. Okay. I'm going to apply a thicker stroke to it.
Oh, Trace says no, lost you now, but I was waiting for it to load. Don't worry, I'll be fine.
Hang on. I can wait. So this is only so that you kind of have a reference as to where your front is. And you can turn it into an aperture if you want at a later point, but just for now, just so we have a visual point of reference. So all we have so far, Tracy, for you to catch up, is we have our 8 triangles
No, keep going.
that make our tube, and the glue tab on the side. Okay?
Just keep going now. So.
Okay. Okay. We'll have to catch up in the middle then. So, with us knowing that this is our front, obviously the opposite to that is going to be our back section. So this box is going to be a bit random because usually what I do is I put the front over here and I put the back here and so on and so forth, but this one shifts everything over a bit. Okay, so the back of our box is going to be this square here. So because all our triangles are the same size, we know that this top panel is going to be square. So we can click on our first point and we can press and hold shift to make sure we stay to a square and let it snap to the point and let go. Okay, so that's the top of our box. So if we were to cut that at the moment, it would kind of flop about a bit. So to stop that, we then put another little tab on the top. Okay, come on, don't die me mouse. Mouse has died. No, 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 no.
Why did it lost connection?
Died. It's okay, I'll swap over to my graphics tablet for now. I'll just move these bits out of the way. Bear with me one moment. Quick change over. I'll move that out of the way. Okay. Oh,
It's working fine.
oh you little. Oh. Hang on. It's going to mess me about today. Okay. So usually what we would do is we would bring in a little tab and we would get our little corner rounder tool and we would do this. Okay? Now obviously on this occasion, because our box is a bit of an odd shape, that won't work so well. Okay? So what you want to do is we're going to delete that out. We're going to go back to our group. We're going to pick one of the triangles that is pointing upwards. We're going to copy it. Click off the group and we're going to paste it. Okay, so we now have a triangle that's gonna, if I bring the whole box down for a minute, don't need to do this next bit in terms of bringing it down, but okay. So now if you think about it, if that lid was to flap over, it's gonna, yeah, we have a church, it would flap down inside correctly so it forms the right point of the box, okay? But obviously we don't want it to stick this big old flap in there. So I'm going to take a rectangle, I'm going to take it over the top, I'm going to select both the rectangle and the triangle, and I'm going to subtract it. Okay, so we now know that these points here would fit in exactly where this box is going to go. Now that's all very well if your card had no thickness to it whatsoever, but it does. So what we need to do now is we're going to zoom right into our tab. Okay. We're going to go to our node tool, and rather than bring our whole edge in, which will end up with you getting kind of weird corners, we're going to do the same technique here as what we did on our glue tab. But we're going to be a lot more subtle about it, so there's going to be the tiniest little bit of a kink. Okay? And it's probably so small that it's barely perceptible. Okay? So if I click on it, we've got a slight... Right?
Yeah.
What's up?
So I've got a YouTube comment I can't see, so I'm just going to check on Discord.
Okay. Okay, so...
Deborah, what's the software you're using?
I'm using Affinity Designer. There's currently a 90-day free trial on it, so try it out, see if you like it.
It's half price, isn't it?
And it's half price if you do like it. So it's really easy to learn. It's more powerful than Canvas, and certainly more powerful than the Cricut version, or equivalent. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Deborah, I didn't see your message come up. Question. I'll keep the
You're keeping Discord open.
Discord open then.
Okay. If you do want to join our Discord community, please do. Okay, so glue tab. Well, fluffy lid. So next, what I want to do is, if we have a lid and it didn't have little side panels for it to actually rest on, it kind of goes a bit flimsy and it sags a bit. So the next thing that we need to do is just do some little side support for it. So again, I'm going to come in with a square. I'm going to click, press and hold shift and wait for it to snap. Now at this point you have a decision to make. You could just do plain old boring, I'll take it down to the middle. Or you could do a one corner round. Okay. Or you could do some combination thereof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down just a fraction. I think halfway is probably a bit too far. So I'm going to come just above halfway so they overlap nicely. I'm going to go to my corner rounder tool. I'm going to click on my first point here. I'm going to shift and click on my second point, and I'm going to drag towards the centre. Okay? And I'm going to drag it to the point where we get a nice continuous curve. Okay? So if you think about it, when the box shuts, we're going to have this nice overlapping curve for our side panels. Okay? But as I said before, we want to have some sort of gap here, so this bit folds over nicely. So this is where we're going to be really boring, and we're just going to move it in slightly. Then you're going to use your keyboard and press the left arrow to just nudge it back over. So now we have a gap here and a gap here. Okay. Then we're going to skip our front panel, which we put our triangle on. We're going to take a copy of that side panel here, and we're going to pop it onto our other side panel. Okay. So far so good, hopefully. Okay. Is anybody actually crafting along, or are they going to watch first?
I think Tracy was just catching up with things.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to come down to the bottom of our box. Now you have a choice to make here. You can do a really strong bottom box where we do literally full base flaps for each side. So you end up with a bottom that is 4 pieces of card thick. Or we can actually have those so they actually slot in together.
So Carol's watching, Sarah's watching, and Tracy says she's almost there. So.
Okay. So for this one, I think I'm going to thinking. Can you hear the cogs grinding?
I can hear the cogs going, yeah. So,
I just wondered where to interlink them, which I could do.
Or just have one every other.
Or just have like little glue panels. I think to get you started, just because otherwise it gets a bit mathematical, I'm just going to have little glue tabs around the bottom for you, okay? So if I zoom back out, what you want to consider now is how the front of your box is going to look. Bear in mind that this is the front of your box, and this becomes a bit like the sort of, they're offset at 45 degrees from the top. So you've kind of got the equivalent of 2 fronts here. Okay. So you want those to be your neatest points. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop one square there. And one square to the side of it. Okay.
That's so just joined us.
And I'm going to get my node tool. I'm going to select my first square.
Morning, Sarah.
Just convert it to curves. And I'm going to put a node here and a node here. I'm going to click this one and hit delete. Okay. Now, if you're going to do it so that that cut sits on the outside of your box, which you could do, you want to bring your square here across a little bit, just so that it has room to fold round.
Sorry to disturb you. Yeah. Deborah, we're using Affinity Designer. Let me put
Yeah, it's by Serif, if you're familiar with their software. Now, if this tab was going to go inside instead, we'd shrink this one. So basically, whichever's going to go to the inside, you're going to want to create that space. Okay, but I would leave this end unchanged, just so it can line this one up. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to go convert to curves, and I'm just going to delete this point, like so. Okay, so when our box folds up, we're going to have this little glue panel here. Now, because we've done that, we're going to have a little bit of a hole here if we don't change something. So we're going to click on this section. We're going to click there so we get an extra node. We're going to click on our corner node here, and we're just going to drag it back. Okay. So now we have a base that's going to overlap. We can then do 2 glue tabs for here. Now, because this is going into a square, we don't have to worry about the angle, so it's not a case that we need to copy the triangle. Okay, so we're just going to drag it across, and because of how it draws a trapezium, we just need to flip that up the other way, like so. Okay, I'm going to make sure that it's snapped into those points, so we have the red line highlighted crossways and the green vertically. We can then go back to our shape tool, and we have our little red dots. We're going to drag those out so that they're at 45 degrees, and it will highlight green when you're at the right angle. Okay. Morning, Hilda. So again, we're just going to tweak it the slightest amount so that it sits back from that edge. Okay. We're going to duplicate it, and we're going to bring it in there. So where we come into this corner, again, we've got a bit more of a fold to deal with. And I'm going to tuck that inside there, so that just needs to come in a little bit here. So I'm just going to go to Layer, Convert to Curves again. Going to add a node. Shift click the next node along and just drag it in just a little. Then we have plenty of room here to do our fold. So now you should have something that looks a bit like that. Okay.
Would you do a separate panel just for the base?
Yeah.
To strengthen, to put inside sort of
To
thing,
put
to
inside,
strengthen.
yeah. I haven't got to the inside of the box yet.
You know now.
Jumping ahead. He's keen, this one. So hopefully you're all kind of there-ish. Or will be when you watch this again. So just because we've got this point here, I'm just going to do a little bit of a tidy up on it. You don't really ever want to leave something that has that much of a point that's kind of floating. So we're just going to round it up a little, and it will just look a little bit neater when it all joins up.
Tracy says got it. I think Tracy's the only one joining in with us this morning.
Okay.
But Tracy's there with you now.
So as we've done that corner rounder, we need to go back to convert to curves, otherwise our machines won't be able to read it properly. Okay, and same with our two panels up here. We're going to select both of them, there, convert to curves. And everything else should be sorted. So before we go any further, I'm going to select all those points or shapes and we're going to group them. Okay. And the reason that we do that is it's useful to have the individual shapes to come back to ready for doing decorative panels and things like that. So I always try to keep a kind of unedited box where we haven't done the welding and the score lines and things. Okay. We're going to duplicate it. So that's Command J on a Mac or Control J on a PC. And we're going to hide a copy. So we're just going to untick this little box here and it's going to hide it. Okay. And on the same one that we've unticked, we can also lock it. So that way we know that there is absolutely no way that it is going to be messed with. So I'm going to go into my new copy of a group. And I'm going to ungroup my triangles now. Okay. So that's Command Shift G on a Mac or Control Shift G on a PC. And the only one I'm going to hide just for a moment is that centre panel that we used for the front. So we're just going to hide it away and we can lock that one too so it doesn't get messed with. Okay. I can then select all and let's just take that out of the group for a moment. So we should now have all of our elements selected, and where it's selected our locked one by accident, just going to take that one out. Okay, so we should now have just the net of our box highlighted. We're going to go to weld. Now I don't expect this to work perfectly first time, because it never does. It never does, no matter how carefully you design. Because they're butting up edge to edge, there are just times where it just can't work out. Although those two things are right next to each other, it can't weld it. It's even worse in canvas when you try and do it in that. Okay? But don't worry. Don't try and mess with the shapes here. I'll show you what you're going to do instead. So we're going to go to our rectangle tool. We're going to take that rectangle and we're going to go across our shapes, and we're not even going to go all the way to the edge. You do not have to try and make this match up with the points, okay? Because basically all it's going to do is when we then select it with our curves, we're going to weld it and we're going to get these little random bits of lines. But that is absolutely fine, okay? Those we can edit a lot easier. What's that?
Tracy says I just got two lines near the ice cream top for a weld. That's not bad for a...
That is not bad. Bizarrely, it just depends on like your snap settings or your grid settings. Okay, so I just use the pen tool to just draw a random shape. I'm just going to weld that on. Okay, so far so good. And I'm going to do the same up here. And again, I'm going to weld. Same here. 2. Okay, and you're probably thinking, oh, but if you cut that out now, you're going to get all these random lines. Yes, you are, you're quite right. But what I'm going to do is, before I go any further with this net shape, I want to put in my score lines so I can use those original points to mark my score lines and know that they're in the right place. Okay, there is a method to my madness, in case you know. So I'm going to go in with the pen tool, and before I do, I'll just click off it just so that it doesn't highlight my shape, just make my life a little easier. So where these points meet here, that's the start of our score line, and we're going to go up to this point right on that corner. Okay, we're going to go to our stroke and we're going to apply a dash, and just for now I'm going to give it a bit more space between the dots. Okay, so I have a dash of 1 and a space of 6. Okay, I'm going to go back to my pen tool, and I'm going to click along that top line. Okay, don't worry about this bit just here at the moment, we'll sort that out in a minute. We're going to go from there down to this point here. Okay, we're then going to come back up here and we're going to go into the left hand point there, because remember we shrunk in our side panels, so you want to make sure you go in line with that point there. Okay, we're going to go down to this point here. Now, this is going to be the tricky one, because over here we have somewhere to go to. Over here we're going to have to click first and check later. Okay, so I'm just going to put a click up there. We're going to click back down to this point. And again, that's click first, check later. We're going to go into this section here and click, and back down to here. So you should now have a nice shape that goes up there, across there, down here, up, down, So your little machine's going to go ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Okay. And click off it. That's the important bit, because otherwise, if it hasn't closed properly, you'll end up with a random line that goes all the way across. So I'm just going to click at this first point here, and I'm going to come right across there. Okay, click off it, go to your pen tool, and we're going to come up and do the flap here. Okay. Now, with your lid, what we need to do is we're actually going to bring this line in. So you're just going to use your end points and slide it in with your arrow tool. Okay, you don't want to bring it in too far, you want to be roughly about level with the tips of your little flap here. Okay, you're going to click off it, you're going to go to your pen tool, you're going to wait till it snaps to that point and snap again to the outside. You're going to go to your arrow tool, so you've just got that little bit of line selected, and you're going to turn that to a solid line. Okay, and we're going to do the same the other side, so we know it's nice and even. So we're going to snap to that point. Okay, hopefully all okay so far.
I think so, and my shine's joined us as well.
Okay, now that we've done that, we can start to check our score points. So if we zoom in, we're going to go to our score line, and if we come along here, ideally, and this is why we keep a copy of our group. If we hide our group there, and we can put up our actual group, our original shapes, and we can see that we're actually slightly off. We can bring it across and it will actually snap to that point, and we can just check that our score lines are just lining up as they should do. If they're slightly off, tweak them now. It's much easier to tweak them here before you try and take them across to your cutting machine. So everything else seems to be more or less in line. There's a little bit there that's just gone a bit haywire. Come here. So let's hide our group again. Put in our base. There we go. Now we're going to fix these random points on here. So I'm just going to lock my score line that's above it, just so I don't click it by accident. And I'm just going to delete the points that I no longer need. So these little kind of gaps where it hasn't welded correctly, I can now just go zoom out. Our box now looks like so. Okay, I think I was being a bit optimistic saying I was going to get 2 boxes done this morning, but what I will do is I will carry on while you are working on these, and I will do the other box as well, so I can have a bit of a discussion about some of the other features that we can add in. Okay. Before I go too far, let me pop my aperture back up. And we can actually do, I'm going to put a copy over here. Oh, you said about putting a square in as well, didn't you? So I'll do that at the same time. So these you could cut from a contrasting card. So just so we get a nice neat finish, we're going to pop in an extra base, so it's easy to draw it like that over the flap so that you know the size. And zoom in. Now because of where this glue flap is going to attach back over here, I'm not going to put an aperture in this panel just so that we get a nice finish there, but I will put one in here, in here, and you can put one in there if you wish. I think on this one I'm just going to leave that, and I'm going to rotate this one round 180 degrees.
Okay, Tracy.
I'm going to come in here. What, she's given up?
No, she's got to go and catch up. She keeps getting interrupted. She's got to go hand wash the clothes again.
Oh dear, okay. Washing machine is still not well then.
No.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that these are sitting in the right place. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to select those. We're going to weld them together so Affinity can weld even when things aren't overlapping. We're going to select that in our base shape, and we're going to subtract so that we have a nice aperture. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I know. So if you're going to do a pattern, you can use this triangle here to map out your pattern for your box. By pattern I mean that you can have it as a lacy insert, so that's your visible area of your box. But what you actually need to do this section is you actually need that full triangle. So we're going to go back to our group of triangles and rectangles, which is why I say keep it, because you will need it at some point. I'm just going to copy a single triangle, load it up and paste it. So we now have a panel that comes in here. Okay. Now, if you are looking to have a box where you don't put acetate in it, then I would recommend that you keep this section here a lot thicker than what I've done. Okay, but because I'm going to go and put some acetate in it just to help it out a little bit, what I'm going to do is group this section here so that stays all together. Let me just make sure everything is unmixed actually, just so I group that. Okay, group it and move it. So we have our main card, and I'm going to come in with my triangles. So we need 3 that are going to go like so. Just going to move that one out of the way just so I can check that one's lined up. And I'm going to need 2 for down here. And again, just to mirror how we've done this bit here, I'm going to pop in another little tab, I think, just to make it a bit easier to adhere. So I'm going to come in here. Now, what I will do before I do any of this, I just want to make sure these are all absolutely on the button, so to speak. Okay. All these shapes, although we want to keep it to the same height, need to come in just a little bit because they're going to sit inside our card. So I'm going to just very carefully, and I'm going to do this by eye, just going to tweak it down just a little. Okay, so I want to make sure that this sits inside those lines. So yeah, that should be alright. Okay, so again with our triangle here, we're going to go convert to curves, and we're going to do our 2 nodes. We're going to get rid of that one to do our little tab there, and just for speed I'm going to come in with the corner rounder and I'm going to just round that off. And what you really want to do when you're assembling this is we're going to stick it in before we even do all our folding and things. So then when it does fold, it should all fold together.
Is that this afternoon treat?
Yes, that's this afternoon. Okay, so I'm just going to take a copy of that, and because I'm going to be lazy, I'm just going to flip it and put it at the other end. Okay. Take that and I'm going to weld it. And as I said before, it's absolutely fine if it doesn't go with these lines, because at least that then gives us our reference points for our score lines. Okay, so I'm going to start up here, I'm going to come down here, up here. As I said, remember, it's click first and check after. And we're going to set it out to our dash line. Okay, and straight away I can see that this one here isn't in quite the right place. So I'm just just using this line here just to check the angle, and that looks absolutely fine. So we can go back to our base point and we can just delete the extra nodes. There we go. So again, I'll group that. And so we have, and you can even mark it up in here as well. So we have acetate. The decorative panels. And the main box. Okay, so first one I'm going to save as, which will save it as an Affinity file. So this is our twisty box. Okay. Now when you go to export, remember how I haven't converted my text to paths. So long as we choose export text as curves for font independence, that will still convert that to curves without us having to do it. Just remember to pop in your DPI to 96. Even though nothing will be rasterized, it is there just for using with Canvas Workspace Online. Okay, and we can go to export and save its twisty box. Okay, and then just so that you're ready to go for later, you're just going to bring it into Canvas Workspace. We're going to go to streaming. We're going to go to our twisty box SVG. I'm going to open it, and you can see that DPI, because we're working in desktop, actually makes no difference whatsoever. It just brings it in whatever size it feels like. So you're going to select it all. We're going to group it. You're going to press and hold Shift, and you're going to drag it back out. Now for this box, because we haven't measured anything, or we don't want it to be a particular size, we don't have to worry about what size we're bringing it up to. So as long as all these pieces are kept in proportion, they will all work fine.
Tracy's just popped back, so you just quickly go over what she missed.
Okay, so if I just pop back to Affinity Designer, we now have, you'll have to tell me what you missed, Tracy. We now have our decorative panels, which are the same size as our apertures for our main box in terms of the decorative panel for the slides, and we have a square that's slightly smaller than the lid of our box that you can also cut to reinforce the bottom of your box as well.
No, I'm joking, keep drinking. And Sarah Lou says she'll catch up in the break into from girls talking about what's happening with work. Looks brilliant, can't wait to try.
Okay. So, and then we have the acetate panel as well.
Are we going to cut it out on stream?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, we'll see you back at 2. That's the other Sarah pack. Hopefully.
Okay.
Just has to go.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, we okay at that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
What I might do is just put a finger slot in after the break. Maybe.
Thanks.
Yeah, a little notch to go in there. Maybe.
Leave it as it is, don't tweak.
Okay, I'll talk about those later.
Yeah, anyway, because
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to be overrunning Lou too much, so I will let you all go, and I'll see you back here at 2.
Yeah. Don't forget you got Lou at 12, Pete at 12:30. You don't have Leslie today at 1:30. They're having a day off, and then we're back at 2 o'clock, and Pete at 4. So So hopefully we'll see you all later at 2 o'clock. And we're going to be on the ScanNCut later, so you're going to need your machines ready.
Yeah.